together, and he weighs in at 263. He walks in this house, and I see him every year. He walks into this house, and that was the biggest change I've ever seen in the last, because he's a 5-time champ.
Yeah.
So, I'm sitting here going last year and the year before. He walks in this time, all black, still looks like just the light went out. Just this big, massive human.
Yeah.
Serge was even scared picking you up at the airport. This guy walks up to the car. I'm like,
please don't hurt me.
So he walked on stage. He came in at 263, relaxed. We dieted, dropped the water, and he just naturally just dropped that water, and it came off, and walked on stage at 242 looking. He was already ridiculous at 263, but 242, it was him, and then other people that showed up for the show.
That big of a difference, man. That's crazy. That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Especially if you're at 260 and you look great, and then you go down to that amount, 240, 241. I mean, dude, you're losing a lot of water weight. You're going to cut up like crazy for sure.
Yeah. He reminds me of like an old school Lee Haney.
Oh, really?
Being in person, yeah. Just he's taller than Lee, but just that prettiness, that athletic. He looks athletic.
Yeah.
Instead of. I mean, he's obviously a bodybuilder, but he looks athletic, like he can get out and he can tussle, and so it's cool.
He can move, he can run, maybe jump if he needs to, instead of if not, just being a ball.
Yeah, baby.
He can get some girls, at the pool party.
Hit the pool party, get some snow bunnies.
That accent gets him.
Oh, I'm sure. Ladies love that, like the Black James Bond.
Yeah, right? Speaking of that, I wish Idris would get that role.
Yeah, I wish he would. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
That would be a game changer if he got that. That would be so inspiring as well for like young black kids out there to see, someone of his stature doing such a big role. But that role is such a English gentleman role, which that doesn't, it's not associated with us.
I think it does for him.
I think it is. I mean, when you think about it, he's a great actor. I think for me, I think he's probably one of the best I've ever seen come out of the UK, because the things that he's done. I mean, I first came across him from The Wire.
Yep.
That's the first time I came across Idris Elba from The Wire, when I started watching The Wire, and I just got hooked on it, and I just loved him from there. So that was a long time ago. When you start thinking about The Wire. So, yeah, I came across him then, and he's just gone from strength to strength to strength. I mean, one of my favorite roles that he plays is actually in Nelson Mandela's story, when he played Mandela.
Oh, wow.
To me, that's probably one of my favorite role that he's played. I know he's played other roles, but that's such a iconic man that it needs someone special to play his role. To tell a story of Nelson Mandela.
It's good when you can find a cat like that.
Yeah, you've got to do it right, and you've got to find someone with similar stature. And Idris can box. So Nelson Mandela boxed. A lot of people didn't know that.
I like Idris because in real life, he's a badass.
Yeah, that's good.
He's a big, I'm still that old school that I love, the 80s action hero guys that were legit action and can tussle.
Yep.
With that being said, I know that we're talking about old school 80s, and when I first asked Wally about blood work, you're 43 now.
43, 23rd of 4th, 1980.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you said that this last year or last couple of years, you felt like you should do your blood work.
Yeah, so, Mike asked me prior to us going live and jumping on, do you have any specific questions that you want to ask? And my question to you would be like, at what age would you recommend that you start getting your blood work done? Like, I mean, I didn't really care about my blood work in my 20s and 30s, to be frankly honest with you. But as I got into my 40s, I guess you could call it a midlife crisis. You can call it like an epiphany, whatever you want to call it. But I felt like, I needed to get regular blood work because, I felt like, what are my levels saying? What do I need to improve on?
Right.
These are all the things that were going through my head at the time. So, the question basically is, what age should you start getting your blood work done?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, right? And it's a very common question a lot of people ask. So, what I would say is I always tell people, listen, the earlier you start getting your blood work done, the more that you start knowing about yourself. So if you start getting blood work, let's say at 21 years old, I don't think, you need extensive blood work as a kid, right? You definitely might need to run like a CMP, a comprehensive metabolic panel, check how their liver, their kidneys are, they look at their cholesterol, whatever. You can do that. Most pediatricians and stuff like that do not run blood tests on kids like that. And even for my son, which Mike has met, when he was about, I don't know, 10 years old, I ran the full panel, what I ran on a regular adult male on him. Because I wanted to make sure, hey, listen, his testosterone's good, IGF-1 is good. I mean, he was over the 99th percentile or 100th percentile almost in his age group, but I still want to make sure. A lot of people, they don't do that, and that's okay. But as we start getting older, we know that more problems are going to start arising. And, with everything else going on, depending on who the person is, what their lifestyle has been their whole life. So let's say that they've been obese or overweight their whole life. And at 21 years old, they're like, you know what, I'm going to start changing things. So I'm going to start eating right. I'm going to start training. And they start doing that and they start getting a little bit of results, but they start plateauing. And at that point, they're like, why? I don't know why. So that's where really a blood test would really come into play to see, hey, listen, maybe there's an underlying issue that's holding you back from where you want to go. So it could be testosterone levels, IGF-1 levels. I mean, even people that have, diabetes type 2, a lot of people don't even know that they have diabetes type 2 because, one, they've never been tested. And they have no idea what the symptoms are that they should be looking for to know this. And you really don't see it in the beginning because it's a silent killer. So at that point, like, there's different things you need to start looking at. So 21 years old is when I would say for somebody to start really doing blood work on themselves. Now, if everything is good and dandy and your blood work are optimal and everything like that, I would say maybe once a year, just to run it's a maintenance type thing. When we look at people maintenance their cars, their airplanes, whatever it is, everything needs to be maintained and looked at. So if we just deny ourselves that, then we're doing ourselves a disservice to our health and the way that we're going to feel. So yeah, that's the common answer I would tell somebody. Usually I would say 21 years old. And it really depends on what your lifestyle and health is. But even if you're the healthiest individual out there, you want to be the best. Like Mike, he wants to be the best at everything, right? He wants to make sure everything's optimal at all times. That's the exact same way I am. And that's how a lot of people should be. But people aren't really like that. And they throw themselves a wayside because they're so busy doing whatever is taking priority except for their health. So that's the big thing. I would say check out at 21 years old, keep tracking yourself. Keep a record of every one of your blood tests, put them in a file so you can see the trends as you age. And if there's any ever problems that may arise, right? Like whether it's a PSA problem, so your prostate's going up and you didn't know. And now you start seeing a trend in your prostate going up, where your cholesterol is just jacked up and you don't know what's going on with that. So you can really start dialing that in and seeing what's going on.
I have a question because I love your text that you just sent me over. Something that sparked that I would love you to speak about is signs that maybe there's some kind of an issue.
Sure.
And obviously without doing the blood work, what are some of those signs?
Sure.
And you were talking about belly fat, and I've always understand belly fat could be a sign of you're eating bad. Obviously, we know this. I'm not speaking of that, but I'm speaking of that maybe you are working out, maybe you are exercising, eating somewhat healthy, but you still have this extreme belly fat. Can you kind of talk about what this could be implementing or stating about your blood work?
Sure. So symptoms that people should be looking for that may be occurring as they get older, or if they're in their 20s per se, right? Because there's guys in their 20s that have hormone deficiencies or imbalances, and there's females too as well. So when we start looking at some of the symptoms, these are very common symptoms that you might not even recognize, and you're putting off to something else you're putting the blame on, right? So ones are energy. There's tons of people out there have lack of energy. They go to sleep at night for 8 to 10 hours, and they still wake up groggy. They don't understand why they can't get good sleep. And then they start blaming their low energy levels on not getting sleep, right? Even if they're sleeping 8 to 10 hours a day. So that's the first one. If you have low energy or lethargic, there's something going on somewhere, right? So that's one to look at. Cognitive thinking. So the way that you're coming up with things. If you're having problems and that word's on the tip of your tongue all the time, then that could be an issue with hormones. Belly fat. So
I'm sorry. Before you go over that one, is the mental state, is that more of a thyroid issue?
sure. So it could be affected by the thyroid, or it could be affected by testosterone, because there are testosterone receptors in the brain. And these receptors in the brain basically, they cover a couple different things. One, clarity is one, right? Two, well-being. So a good self-well-being, that's another big one that's affected by testosterone levels. The other one I would say that mental is going to be depression. There's a lot of people that have low testosterone and they're depressed. And when they raise their testosterone levels, they come out of depression. I don't know how many patients we've seen that have come off of antidepressants by correcting their hormones. They were put on these antidepressants because they went into their doctor and they told their doctor they have low energy levels, they're having problems, the erectile dysfunction in the bedroom, and they're not feeling good about themselves. Now, what's the reason you're not feeling good about yourself? There is no reason. I look like Michael Hearn. I got $1 million in the bank. I'm driving a Ferrari or Lamborghini. Life is good, but I just don't feel good about myself. I don't feel good about what's going on. I just have these bad thoughts. This could be along with testosterone. Could also pair up with thyroid. Thyroid, and I mean, all these hormones are working together, right? So, you know, they can overlap in some of the different areas, but some of those main keys you need to look for. Belly fat was the other one. So
Yeah.
if you're getting belly fat, this could be from a number of different reasons. This could be from hormones, you're off or imbalanced. You could have high estrogen levels, so you're retaining.
That's the one normal. It seems like it's always been a gym statement that is, you know, you got these guys that are working out hard, doing everything, skinny arms, skinny legs, and got this belly. So the estrogen might be a little
skinny fat man.
Yeah.
You know, the big issue that I see is a lot of people, if they do go to general practitioners and get their testosterone covered by insurance, which God bless if you do, is that these general practitioners aren't giving the full gambit of what they really need. So when they're taking testosterone, we know it's going to aromatize into estrogen and DHT and these different hormones. But they're not looking at that level, right? They're not looking at, you know, well, if you take testosterone, your testicles are going to shrink. So what's that going to cause? Low semen production, you know, infertility because of that, not infertility because you're not producing semen. But it is because you're not producing semen. It's not because you're becoming infertile, excuse me. So these are just some of the things that they need to look at, because those guys go on testosterone, things change for 2 to 3 weeks. And then at that point, they start feeling lethargic again, and then they start gaining a whole bunch of weight. Girls, too, the exact same thing happens to them. So, you know, if you're not balancing the different hormones, you're going to be, you know, up shit creek, excuse my language, with how you're feeling or what results you might be getting. And there might be negative results, and you're thinking this should be a positive thing, not a negative thing.
So just for anybody at home, again, I think, and I was talking to Wally about this too, is that back in my competitive years, there wasn't really something that was available like this, that you can go over to Titan Medical and get your blood panel, especially if you use my Titan, tell them Titan sent you for $150, which Wally is from the UK, and he was just saying that that's very inexpensive.
Very cheap.
So you guys have that luxury over here to get that done and just kind of see where those things are at. And again, going back to your point about if you're feeling a little tired and stuff like that, but I want to make sure that these people out there realize that because this wasn't around back when I was competing, I think it is around today. And so for you youngsters, and everybody's younger than me, I'm old as pie. So, you know, you 30-year-olds, I've sent over some 25-year-olds even with low T levels. And you find out that this 26-year-old has a 260 testosterone level, which is tanked in any realm of life. So again, you can get over there, you can find that out and make sure that you're taking care of that situation. And then also the big thing that intrigues me is nighttime recovery. How much better can I get from tonight to tomorrow? And so those medications or peptides that you can do at night to enhance your body to fully recover. Because Wally has one of these, what are the Whoop bands?
Yeah, Whoop band.
And I think that's pretty great if you can kind of have one of those bands on you and it tells you how well you've recovered.
Oh, wow.
I got frustrated with mine. I couldn't read it and understand it. I might be out of that demographic of that comprehension of the computers and stuff, but I do want to recover. I want to get better every single night, and I want to be able to go in and train the next day. So some of the options that these guys can do, which are natural peptides.
Sure. So the peptides that are more natural and that are going to help you get gains and help you recover, especially when you're going to bed. We're going to cover the basic GHRH peptides, growth hormone releasing hormone peptides. So CJC 1295 with ipamorelin. That's 2 peptides in 1 vial that you're getting. They work systemically together. And at that point, they're going to raise IGF-1 levels. And it's going to help your pituitary naturally produce your own growth hormone. So if you're a little bit low on growth hormone or you're in the middle of the road, this is going to be something for you to be able to use. And one is going to help with lean body mass. It's going to help with better sleep. So if you're getting better REM sleep, we've talked about this multiple times, how your recovery is going to be better because you're getting more quality sleep. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality all the time. And this is everything that you do in life. It's all about quality and not quantity. So, with this, those are the ones. CJC 1295 with ipamorelin, and then we talk about MK677. So that's ibutamoren. That's a capsule you would take every day, and you take it before bedtime if you didn't want to eat. So if you do take this in the daytime, it's going to make you famished. I mean, like if you've ate a buffet before, you're going to take this, and 15 minutes later, you're going to want to eat another buffet. That's how it works as far as stimulating the ghrelin, the hunger hormone in the body, and that increasing growth hormone levels in the body too as well, IGF-1 levels specifically, because IGF-1 turns into growth hormone in the liver. So that's where you're going to get all the benefits from. So those 2 therapies right there. If I had to say another therapy that we do that could help with sleep, that could improve these different things too as well, might be our Titan Serenity. And Titan Serenity has a couple different components in it. And these things definitely help as far as distributing hormones and helping with better sleep. So we talk about L-theanine. So L-theanine is an amino acid, and that amino acid is to help you relax. So there's 2 types of sleepers out there usually. There's people that can't go to sleep, and there's people that can't stay asleep. So the first guy is like, the wheels keep turning. Oh, I can't go to bed because, man, I'm thinking about tomorrow and this and what I got going on. The second person's like, all right, I'm going to go to sleep. Go to sleep, and then I wake up. It's 2 a.m. Damn, I got to go back to bed. It's 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's me.
That's me too. Yeah.
I got to get some sleep here because tomorrow I'm not going to be worth a damn. So, the L-theanine, the magnesium in it, and the taurine, these 2 things work together as far as to relax you and to give you a good night's rest. It's also used for people who have social anxiety. There's a lot of people out there that have anxiety, and they have it when they go into social avenues, whether it's an event or a nightclub or whatever it is. They have these social anxieties, and they can use half a dose and still be cognitively awake and not be drowsy and put out.
That's none of the 3 of us.
No.
Yeah.
When it comes to me, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I mean that's really the 3 I think I would recommend right off the bat for somebody that really want to improve recovery and want to improve other things in their body as far as body mass or sleep or any of these other things that it might help. But yeah, those are the 3 main ones I would say. There was some other ones before that we used to have that are no longer upon us, and you can get over a counter. It's just really crazy about this. So GABA, we used to have injectable GABA. They used to be in Titan Serenity. Now, GABA is awesome. I mean, as far as that goes, it would knock people out, keep them asleep, and not have any problems. The FDA doesn't want anybody to compound GABA anymore, but you can get it over the counter. So,
I take the supplementation.
Yeah,
GABA.
GABA's awesome, especially if you can get injectable. If you could, that's definitely the way to go for sure,
100%. The difference, because I've heard through a lot of HRT companies, the difference between ipamorelin and testamorelin. I hope I'm saying those correctly.
Yeah. So both
peptides, correct?
Both peptides. And then when we talk about testamorelin, I mean, you're talking about something that's supposed to really stimulate growth hormone levels, IGF-1 levels. What we've seen on it. So I've had patients on testamorelin, and some get great results. Some do not. And they're upset because the price point on testamorelin is very expensive.
Okay, so the main point is then now everything is just a light on my marble head. This makes sense. I have heard that the one was very expensive, and it has been pushed that is the I don't want to say the gold platter of if you're going to do something, this is the realm of doing that. And so you've noticed that it doesn't work for everybody.
It doesn't work for everybody. They usually use it for basically testosterone is a little bit different as far as that goes, where they're using it for weight loss. The majority of people, they want to lean up, right? It's supposed to get rid of abdominal fat.
Okay.
That's what we're going to be using for HIV patients and stuff like that. That they start acquiring a lot of body fat as far as in the abdominal area. So that's one thing. Where ipamorelin and CJC 1295, they more stimulate the pituitary, right? So they're more of an overall general effect across the board. And like I said, with testosterone, some people get great results from it and some people don't. So it's it's a roll of dice. And like I said, it's really expensive. So, you're talking about maybe $400 to $1,000, depending on where you're going to get it from, who you're sourcing it and all that, compounded pharmacy wise. But it gets expensive. And there's other alternatives that are not as expensive that work probably just as good, as not even better, that you're going to get mass of people saying, hey, listen, I'm getting a great result from this.
So would you recommend then starting out just to test your numbers, find out where your numbers are, and then maybe start with something that's affordable?
Yep.
Because I can imagine there's so many peptides, and that's why I'm still just trying to learn about all the different aspects of it. And I think today's one of those days where, now I'm really starting to get it.
Yeah.
So test the numbers, see if your IGF is going up on the blood work.
Right.
And that will kind of tell you if this is a go or not go. And then if you want to, can you step up to the testosterone at Titan Medical? Is that something that's available to them?
Yeah, we can definitely get that peptide for patients. It's not a problem. As far as that goes, if people have used testosterone before and they've got a good result and they like it and they want to go forward with it again, I got no problem with that. For me, I like to make sure the patients are going to get results, because if not, they call you up and listen, I wasted $500, $600. And then most of the time, if a patient calls or they write in, because I'm still controlling social media, so I still write and see all the DMs. If they say something like that, or I see it on a post, I always ask them, hey, listen, what did we do for you? Right? Because one way or the other, I want to give them the results. And most of the time, I give them the results. And if I don't, I usually refund them all their money. And that sucks, but it is what it is. And it's good business practice to do that, just to make sure there's no sour, milk, or nobody's, upset about this or that. I try to do and go far above and beyond for a patient to make sure they get the results. So
it seems, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like that you try to stay, and to me, it's a good word, because it reminds me of me on how I'm with nutrition. I'm basic. How I'm with training, I'm basic. And it seems like for a company as big as yours, you try to stay basic and say, yes, there's things out here, and I'm wishing you could create this Wizard of Oz over here, but I'm letting you know this basic stuff will get you to your goal. Is that kind of right?
That's right. I mean, you got to keep it simple. You get it all difficult for people. And like I said, when you start, you can prescribe. Listen, I got people that will buy almost every therapy on their first visit because they got the money and they want the result and they don't care what they got to do to get it, right? But when those people do something like that, like I said before, they buy a package, and it's okay to get multiple therapies. But when we're talking about 10, 11 therapies and you've never done anything in your life, when you get that box and you see 200 syringes in there and bottles and you got to reconstitute medication, you're like, oh, my head starts spinning. And they call the office like, oh, my God, what did I get myself into? And then you just walk them through it and you kind of go through everything through it with them. But, listen, that's okay for some people, but I try to tell them, hey, listen, let's get some of these different things, because it's not a quick race. It's a marathon, right? So we start.
You got the world champion over here that's 43.
Yeah,
you don't need to send 30 things. No. He's got plenty of years to catch up to my old age, and be better than me at my age for doing what he's doing. And I think don't you think that's a common? And we said this before we filmed.
I think one of my favorite quotes that I'll probably touch on is never compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. Because that, there's a lot of stuff that we've gone through, a lot of hoops that we've jumped through prior to being where we are today.
Sure.
And I think, you know, with all of the stuff that you guys are offering, I think it's amazing, you know, for people of today not to take great advantage of it, because everybody wants a quick fix. You know, another great analogy is that your body's not Amazon Prime. You don't order it today and it comes tomorrow.
Right.
You know, so
as I'm sitting next to you know the leader of the pack here.
That's it. You know, a lot of people, because we're living in an era where, you know, information is so vast, information overload, where, you know, and there's so much conflicting information out there on everything, you know. So we'll say one thing, another person will say another thing. So with clarity, I think what's important is, you know, like, I'll listen to a billionaire talk about money, but I wouldn't listen to a guy that lives at his mum's house driving a Ferrari talk about money.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You know, and that's the difference. You have to be able to siphon the shit, excuse my language, out of the information that's out there in regards to, you know, blood work, training, nutrition, everything that you want to try and achieve within your physique that's humanly possible. And I think like Mike asked me a question today whilst we were training, and he said, imagine you had the knowledge that you have today at the age of 15. That was 1995, I was 15. So, and imagine I had the knowledge I have today in 1995, where I would be today. Yeah. And that information is available to the average 15-year-old.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have all the social media platform. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have lives. We didn't have anything like this to be able to be somewhere else around the world. And, you know, we couldn't even get the US magazines. So if I was in the UK growing up, our magazines were completely different to your magazine. Wow. You know, we'd try and get, like, you know, so the only thing you had was information that the internet wasn't as big back then. So you had the information that you picked up from magazines and people that train at your local gym, the guy that's in the best shape at your local gym.
That's right. That's what everybody goes to. Everybody goes to the biggest guy in the gym. Like, what do you do?
It. You know, they go to, you know, the biggest guy in the gym. You know, the biggest guy in the gym might not be the most knowledgeable guy in the gym. Right. Let's be straight up. It might be, you know, someone who's completely, you know, they call it bro science. Well, that's what I like to call it, bro science. Yeah. You know, because they say that, you know, I like scientific rationale behind things that have been shown and proven that works, and it's been tested and it works. It does exactly what it says on the tin. Mm-hmm. And like what you said as well, if someone doesn't get results, why do they not get results from what you've prescribed them? Right. That's the question that you need to ask as a clinic. And that's the question you need to ask the client. What is it that why do they not get results? Because, like, I run a service of online coaching, so I want my client's journey to be the same. Another great analogy that I have is that, you know, I love burgers, not all year round. But I have a Five Guy burger in London, and then I come to New York and I have a Five Guy burger in New York. That burger should taste the same. Right. There shouldn't be any difference in it. So that client journey, each client that comes through your door, there should be a pathway that journey is the same for each and every client, and they get the results that they want at the end of the journey. That's very important. And I love what you said in regards to, if someone goes on social media and blasts your company about not getting the results that they desire from what they've paid for, you go out to them and say, how can we fix this? Right. Meaning that, what can we do to assist you, work with you till you get the results that you desire? And that's so powerful.
What is happening here?
Oh, the superstar is here.
Here for a minute, and I'm telling you what, I thought it was this week, but next week it's gonna be me and Cherise, and we're gonna talk to all the ladies out there. Yes. I'm getting a lot of DMs.
And for you guys that identify as ladies like me.
Excuse me.
Okay, I do have one question real quick.
Yeah.
And I think, Jeff, you can help me on this too. I've had discussions, and this kind of leads off on Wally's thing, is that you have to appease the clients. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand that some tests for individuals, and that, correct me, or is this just hearsay? A person's IGF, for some individuals, when they do their blood work, they're pretty accurate on their numbers, especially if they're doing something like tesamorelin or something like that, or something to help bump their numbers as they sleep. But there's other individuals, regardless of if they are taking HGH or something, it doesn't bump their numbers on the testing. Have you ever heard anything like this?
So yeah, so I see it all the time with black market guys, because these guys, I'm in like all the forums, all the groups, everybody DMs me, and they all got these questions, whatever. And I try to help everybody else out, even if they're not a patient. I try to give them good advice, never tell them what to take or anything like that. But I'll be like, hey, listen, this is kind of what it is, what we've seen. But so a lot of the guys get HGH black market, right? Blue tops, yellow tops. I've seen somatropin that's been fraudulent. I've seen all these different things out there. And it's crazy because people are making fraudulent bottles with the
Okay, so it's not technically an individual that their numbers aren't going up. They're most likely not taking in real stuff. Like we used to call it like bathwater. You know, it's like, where are you getting this? Oh, I got this stuff from Bobby out in the van in the back.
Yep. So they're ordering it, and then what's happening is they're getting it, and then they're taking it, and then what they're doing is they're going in and they're getting an HGH serum test done. And that's supposed to tell what the concentration is of it, right? But when we look at IGF-1 levels, that is the indicator. That is the big one. Because if you have all this HGH, it's going to convert into IGF-1, 2, and 3. And IGF-1 is when you get all the benefits from growth hormone. So that IGF-1 level isn't coming up. I don't care what you're taking because it's not having a great effect like it should and doing what it should to help you really be better. There's a couple of different things as far as IGF-1 levels raising too, growth hormone. So when we talk about growth hormone, it's a 191 amino acid sequence. It's just an amino acid sequence and 191 of them, and they're all put together, and that's what creates it. So when you take some of these different aminos in a sequence, and at that point they're injectable, and you take them in the morning. The best time to take CDC 1295 or any amino acids like that are in the morning on an empty stomach, at least 15 minutes before you eat. Or at night, 15 minutes before you go to bed. And at that point, I've seen people get high IGF-1 levels, including myself, above range, and not take any growth hormone. Now, if you take growth hormone and it's real growth hormone, your IGF-1 levels will be above range. And some people say that's, it just depends on how high too. Because when we were first starting, we seen a guy and he was 6'7", and his IGF-1 levels were 800. Top of the scale was 300. So that's 500 points. That's a lot, guys. So I'm like, man, this guy, man, he's off the charts, right? And I was talking to some of the doctors like, well, hold on. That could be a bad thing now. I'm like, why? He's like, because he could have a tumor, right? And at that point, it's creating overstimulation of the pituitary. So at that point, there's people that have had really negative things happen health-wise with having really extreme IGF-1 levels because of the tumor on the pituitary. Some people it doesn't affect at all, but that's just one thing to look for. But most of the time, like I said, IGF-1 levels are high. Usually you're recovering faster, you're building more quality mass, you're sleeping better, and everything's going to be better. That is the anti-aging hormone that you really want to look at across the board.
Skin, hair,
hair, nails, elasticity. Dude, you name it. Quality of life all the way around. So it's something you need to look at.
On the numbers, have you done blood work lately?
Not lately, no. I haven't done blood work lately.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, not since I went to Next Health, which is in LA when I was last year. Yeah, so
let's see if we can't get it done because you're here for the next couple of weeks. Let's see if we can't get it done and do a little read over with it the master himself.
Yeah, awesome.
Because I would love to see what does a world champion's blood work look like.
Sure.
Especially after you just competed and put your body in that, I guess you would say toxic. You're breaking it down and see where it is and see if there's things that we can make sure that are all good and healthy. That being said, numbers are numbers, and I have to address. I've seen a lot again, hearing these numbers that people are trying to get their IGF-2. And from what I understand, if I don't have my blood work, but the number for IGF can go up to like 240, 250. Is that correct?
Yeah,
That range for a male?
The reference range depends on the age of the person.
Okay.
So if they're older, that level, the higher level of the reference range comes down.
Okay. Stop picking on me.
No, I'm just telling you. If you're doing better on IGF-1 levels later on in life, you're doing good, because as we age, that starts decreasing, growth hormone starts slowing down and getting made. And like I said, that's where the decline starts happening in all the different issues.
Okay. So I think on mine, it's right around like, it can go up to like around 240, 250.
Yep.
And my
Yes.
numbers are around 150.
Yep.
Now, I do hear that some clinics try to get those numbers to a number of 400.
Mm-hmm. So they might be doing that. I know a lot of clinics prescribe growth hormone, and that's how they're doing it. The only thing is that, the FDA, the growth hormone is not a controlled substance like testosterone, which is a controlled 3. It's the only hormone that's basically a controlled. Estrogen's not a controlled, progesterone's not a controlled, DHEA, all these things. But with that said, the FDA looks highly down on medical providers prescribing growth hormone for recovery, for anti-aging, for any health benefit whatsoever, unless it's child where they have growth hormone deficiency.
Right. The deficiency, because that's like one of the biggest things that they instantly go to.
And then HIV wasting patients. So if you're wasting, then that's great to prescribe for them. It's great to prescribe. Like a lot of people I know, bodybuilders back in the past, they would go to HIV clinics, or doctor's offices. They look for these patients and they trade them out the prescriptions for this stuff. So it's one thing that used to happen back in the day, that wasn't good. But
well, you don't need to do that now, everybody. So you're out there. You don't need to go there to wow. But that's somebody that wants to do it. They're gonna find a way to do it.
They're gonna find a way to do it.
Is this number a little extreme? Is
some providers are going to say yes. They're going to say this can cause cancer. You're at a higher risk, and all these good things. Because remember, if they are taking growth hormone, whatever it may be, every cell is affected. It's not
right.
Good. You're just going to take good. No, we're going to get the bad and the good. So those can grow. And that's where tumors. That's why I say you have to look at family health history, your health history. Have you had any cancer in your past of your family or yourself? And that will kind of decide where a provider really thinks like. But some providers want you to be high. They want you to be 350, because you want to be optimal. I mean, there's nothing bad about being a little bit over the range.
Yeah, that's my question. I don't know one way or another on if that's good or bad. I don't know, because most guys at Gold's Gym is, their T levels are running right at 1,500.
Yeah.
And they're seem to be very healthy, seem to be very fine, and seem to be living life to the fullest. Yeah. Where that number is above, obviously. Yeah. What the blood marker number would be.
I mean, personally, I don't think that number it just depends too. Like when a person injects their testosterone too, because the ester when it's going to really release. So when is the spiking point and when they do the blood work? So usually we say 3 to 4 days on cypionate or enanthate, and it's usually going to spike up, right? You're going to get the highest reading at that point. And if the highest reading at that point is 1,500, they're going to come down, and then the next shot is going to take them back up to where they need to be. I don't think that 1,500 is bad necessarily. Some providers might not like that number. I understand that. But we have to really look at some of the past things that have happened too, that a lot of people don't know or don't realize. And the only reason I do is because I'm the owner of the clinic and I set everything up. But when we originally got with LabCorp, right, and I've been doing this for 11 years now, the range used to be 1150 at the top of the reference range.
It was back in the day, right?
916. So why are we going down in the reference range? And they couldn't answer the question. Trust me, I've tried to get the answer to this.
So you don't have the answer yet.
They can't give me an well, this is because the general public and I'm like it was just a runaround answer that they gave me.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Was the number on the high side 1150, but the low side was 450?
No, it was like 3.
It was a high 3s.
Yeah, it was like 350. 350 tops.
Okay.
I have my own blood work, so I'll pull it out and I'll let you know. I'll show you what the reference range was.
It's funny because I do remember because I had to do blood work through all the television shows I did as well. And so I always saw it and, looked at my numbers and then go, well, geez, it could go up to this level. So that was one of the things. And I just realized as soon as you said it that, they have changed the number to where they've dropped them down.
Yep. So I want people to have lower testosterone levels. And us as men right now, we're at the lowest testosterone levels in the history of men. So we are producing less than any of our ancestors in the past. Okay. So this is causing a problem across the board. We're at the highest infertility rates and we've ever been. It's crazy. So all these things are leading from disruption of hormones, and people not getting them treated properly. And they don't know, like, they don't have this problem. People think, like, I'm 22 years old. Why do I have low testosterone? I haven't done any steroids. I don't do this. I don't do that. I eat clean. I train, and I've lived a pretty much healthy life.
Yeah.
It's like that with women too. So the same thing across the board with girls. I mean, they're dealing with the exact same things that we're dealing with. And at that point, they have some deficiencies or something that might be out of balance.
When you work with clients and they come to you, you get all ages.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you do? And I know the UK be different, but you get people from around the world because you're online. But do they get to go look at their blood work and stuff like that?
Yeah, I work quite closely with a holistic doctor that does blood work, but that's like my VIP package where, you know, they'll get their blood work done at the beginning of working with me. They also will get like the meal prep delivered to their house.
But it helps to get them to understand at least their numbers are doing well or not well.
Yes, just to see where they are blood-wise. But a lot of people, like you say, you don't know what your blood work's doing until you test it.
Right.
So, a lot of people, obviously, you don't know. So for me, I work quite closely with a clinic in London that I send them to. It's a holistic doctor. She does.
That's great that you have that.
Yeah, just someone to have access to someone to be able to send them there. But if I don't work with, for example, it would be nice to be able to have a clinic in the US that I can recommend my clients to go to.
Oh, you got one now.
Yeah. But the problem with what I want to establish is that can this be done remotely?
Yes.
Yeah, which is
Yes,
good.
we can service any state except for Idaho.
That's perfect. So you
Except where?
Idaho.
Idaho.
So you've got basically you've basically got yourself a new client basically through me in the sense
Thank
that
you. I appreciate
I'll be using your services for all my US based clients moving forward.
I love that.
I'm
that
looking at a place in London too, so hopefully I'll be coming there very shortly because
We've been talking about that.
Yeah,
London. Listen, my buddies all live in London, and man,
London's a great city. I think one of my favorite. I mean, like I always say, I love traveling, but there's nothing better than going back home to London.
Yeah.
I think you'll do very well in London because I think I mean, blood work's very expensive. If I tell you how much my clients pay to do their blood work, you'll be shocked.
I'm sure.
It's close to £1,000.
My God,
I know.
that's
So-
more US. Pounds is cheaper as far as that goes. We convert that US money. That's a lot more. It's like
That's a lot of money. So you're talking like, £800. That's how much the doctor that I work with charges for blood work.
Wow.
That's why when Mike said to me this morning that it's $150, I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm getting ripped off here.
Yeah.
The key for me is not to charge my clients heaven and earth.
Yeah.
I want them to be able to have easy access to it.
Copper.
Of course.
And if you had a somewhere you can partner with in Europe, like London, and you can do it remotely via, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely do it for sure.
I think you should do it. I think at the end of the day, it's a no-brainer because I think people within the UK are very similar with people within the United States. But obviously, you have people who are not just bodybuilders, not just like athletes, but you have people who are kind of bankers, doing relatively well, entrepreneurs. We love all of this sort of stuff.
Yep.
And I think it's so important and to have that door open for everyone. And within the UK, you're doing extremely well, I believe.
Definitely.
I think that's I don't know for John if this is so, but for me, I know that I hope this reaches the mass instead of just the fitness individual, because people out there in the working world don't realize how shut down their bodies are. And so I'd love them to understand, go Titan Medical, get it checked and find out what is feasible for yourself. Mostly being a father. I could see these fathers not being able to play with their kids or go work out with them and stuff like that. And I get to see you with Peter.
Yeah.
You're out there tussling, which I his son. I met his son. His son is just turned, if I'm correct, 13.
14 now. Yeah.
14. Okay, and he's taller than I am. He's just a monster of a child.
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
We've got a list here. My team put together. Samorlin, Ipamorelin, GHRP6, GHRP2 are very popular online now, talking about that. Obviously, we've talked about it, but I'd love to refresh again on IGF 1 LR3 and a modified GRF. So any of these, could you kind of speak about these and why the rise in discussion of these? Because again, if anybody's watching, I'm trying to find out the numbers to push that IGF up. But then there's this confusing shopping list of watching these YouTube videos. And again, like we said, there's so much information out here. Why is there a list of 20 things to get one thing? Or do they work together in tandem, or can I get all 10 and see what happens?
You can get all 10 and see what happens. I think they're overlapping in some different areas. So when we talk about GHRP2 and GHRP6, those are growth releasing peptides, and both of them stimulate ghrelin, right? The hunger hormone, like we talked about.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So that's what specifically it's trying to do.
Yeah. So that's a specific. So it's trying to stimulate the pituitary. Now they used to put GHRP2 or GHRP6 with Samorelin back in the day, and they work, systematically together to give you a better result, which was to hopefully increase your IGF-1 levels, help induce better sleep patterns, increase appetite if that was the case, lean body mass and such. So GHRP2 and GHRP6 aren't used anymore. Like in my world, like they're obsolete because of ipamorelin. So that one has really took the cake. It's the big bad boy on the block, and it's the predecessor to, like I said, GHRP2 and GHRP6. So with that, you're going to get a way better result with ipamorelin. It's going to work for longer inside the body too as well. And you're really not going to see GHRP2 or GHRP6 from any compounding pharmacies out there. And the only place you might see it is online at research chemical sites, but I wouldn't take a risk even getting that from them. I would go with the ipamorelin if you're going to do it, and you'll have CJC 1295 for the exact same price. So at that point, if you're looking to increase growth hormone levels and you want to use one of these products, I'd probably use those two put together, and that would probably give you the best result out of anything GHRP2, GHRP6, and Samorelin wise.
Real quick, just I got to interrupt you. Sorry, or I lose all this because you're giving so much information. I know this is second nature to you. I'm still a beginner. So it seems as though it keeps going back to the ipamorelin with the CJC 1295. Those two mixed together, and then if you want to do the IGF-1 LR3 added in before and after work, before workout, and then also at night, that's a great peptide protocol to get your numbers at least moving in the right direction.
Right. With IGF-1 LR3, so IGF-1 LR3, insulin-like growth factor, and LR3 is made its long release, right? So there's regular IGF-1 and there's IGF-1 LR3. So IGF-1 is really quick in and out of the body as far as when it's going to be useful to you, right? It's quick in and quick out. You got to take multiple doses throughout the day. The IGF-1 LR3 is supposed to be in the body for at least 24-hour period as far as a half-life. So you're supposed to get a way better result all the way through and through. So you could take it in the morning and still have you working out with it in the afternoon. It's still going to get you great pumps, and you're going to still feel the IGF-1. So that's the big ticket between those two. IGF-1 LR3 is a really, really popular therapy. And before we were able to get it, no problems. The FDA cracked down a little bit, but I guess the pharmacies are letting them create this again. So at that point, we will hopefully have that back in the artillery here this week, if all goes well. So it's one that I like to use. You can use it, 1, for weight loss, right, or 2, for muscle growth. So if you inject it, right, in the morning per se, subcutaneously in the stomach area, you're going to get all the benefits of IGF-1 throughout the day. If you're looking for more muscle growth and build, now the research on this is, I'm a research guy too, so I like the research being there. And I don't really see the research in the muscle growth by site injecting, but people swear by it.
Yeah, it seems like all my friends are talking about, oh, I do it in, if I'm doing shoulders, I'm shooting it in the shoulder that morning. If I'm doing arms, I shoot it in the arms.
Yeah. And, you know, it might increase the pump in that area too. So that might be like, oh man, like, I'm getting more muscle growth out of this. But, you know, I haven't seen any research on it. So I'm not going to sit here and say, listen, you're going to grow bigger muscles by spot injecting. But I've done it myself. I thought I got a good result, right? And a lot of people do it and they get a good result from it. So, you know, it's something you can try. Either way, you're still going to get the benefit of IGF-1. So it's not like it's a wasted shot.
I'm cool with the mental approach of it. You know, if you think it's working, it's working. You know, I'll go back to that because it just seems like peptides are such a healthy way to go and a good way to go.
Yeah.
Am I correct to say Samorlin is not a peptide?
So it is.
It is.
Yes, sir. Yep. Samorlin is
Continue, please.
Samorlin is one of the original peptides. Samorlin got FDA approval, I believe. Trying to think it was 70s or 80s. 70s or 80s. Like, it's been a long time since I read about it, as far as that goes. But what it was supposed to come out and do, was supposed to be the substitute for growth hormone. So it was supposed to use on children that had growth hormone disorders and adults that had growth hormone disorders and be able to utilize for that. So dwarfism or anything like that too as well, that's what it was supposed to come out and do. The problem with Samorlin works pretty good the first 3 to 6 months. And then after that, you don't get hardly any good effect. So you're not feeling the sleep like you used to. It's not helping out. You're like, man, this is I've kind of plateaued here. So that's the reason the problem with Samorlin. For CAC 1295, there's never a drop off. You can take it for a whole year and still get the exact same effect all the way through every night. So that's it. You know, Samorlin, like I said, it's one of the original peptides out there.
Modified GRF.
Yeah.
Am I saying that correctly, Jeffrey?
Yeah. You're talking about the fragment, the 176 fragment.
I just heard that it's modified GRF.
Yeah, he's just heard of it as, this is just the research we've done. We've just heard him talking about it. So this is probably, you would understand that better than I.
So that goes back to AOD 9604. The fragmented of growth hormone is 176 amino acid sequence instead of the 191 that a growth hormone has. This is going to be good for lipolysis and lipogenesis. So destroying fat that's already stored in the body. That's one effect that it has. The second effect is that it does not store food as fat in your body and utilizes energy too as well. So you're getting all the benefits of the weight loss effect from growth hormone without any of the negative side effects that come along with growth hormone. And that's what a lot of people use it for.
Okay, you gave me, and then the big one again, and we spoke about this already. We don't need to. The MK is obviously one of the big things that you can do for a period of time. That's really set up the body to burn fat, but also it does create the hunger level.
Of course.
So you should be a disciplined individual if this is the route that you kind of go down this route. And this is now. Am I wrong again, or is this not a peptide?
It is a peptide. Originally it was a lot of people categorize it as a SARM, a select androgen receptor modulator, but it's not a SARM. It is a peptide therapy.
Oh, wow. It's that helps out so much. I learned so much more. I know this is very repetitive for you to do these talks with me, but I really am trying to understand. Does this make sense? It makes
perfect sense. Yeah, I mean, you know,
he comes in one time. He makes perfect sense. I've been here for a month and a half, and I have no idea what.
No, I mean, asking repetitive questions that's the way you kind of the information sinks in, because if you don't ask the repetitive questions that you're asking, how are you meant to know what's what? There's so many peptides out there. Someone that does the job every day will understand it a lot better than you do.
Yeah.
No disrespect to you, but the fact is that understanding that someone that does the job every day has, and the way they can explain it and simplify it, I think I always say to myself, keep it simple, stupid.
Yep.
You know, if I can keep it as simple as possible, then I can understand it. Then a 5-year-old can understand it. Right. You know, if Titan can understand it, then it's good.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? It's that simple. You know, Titan's almost 5. You know, if he can understand it, then it's good. You know, you should be able to. Peptides shouldn't be complicated or complex in any way. I think it's just, what results do you want to gain?
Okay, you say that, but at the same sense, and for both of you, this is a question for both of you. Obviously, I found out something today that I didn't know, is that the tesamorelin compared to the ipamorelin, not proven to be a huge difference except for financial. And so then my question is, well, I mean, these companies are out there saying that the one is better so they can charge more and get more of a profit.
I think, I mean, you know, that's always going to happen.
Business comes into play.
Yeah, when business comes into play in any industry, people are always going to manipulate the market. People are always going to sell you the most expensive product, even though you can get a result with very similar with a very cheaper product. They're going to sell you the most expensive. I don't know. Some people don't understand peptides as much as they should. If I was going to go on peptides, I'd do a little bit of research prior to going on and seeing what does what, even if it's just by talking to someone like yourself to get a basic understanding and see what information you can actually send through to me.
Right.
Because I think, you know, written information is just as powerful as information that we hear, because, you know, I spent 10 years boxing. So by the time I come off this call, by the time I think of all the peptides that we've discussed, I've probably forgotten all of them and what they do. So I think if I had that written information in front of me, and I think that would be good for your patients as well. If you have like a booklet of your peptides and give them the information through that, because then they can go away and think, okay, well, this is what does what, and this is what I need. This is what recommendation that you've made, and they can then tie things together. But then they've got information right there in front of them.
Something I like
to refer back to.
And speaking of this, is that I got to do my blood work through Titan Medical. And then I had a great conversation with their medical provider. And she talked, and I just kept my mouth shut and listened. And you know, there was a good portion I did understand just because I've researched this so much this last year. But there's a lot of it I didn't. And so some of that conversation was wasted, but it wasn't wasted in the sense because she sent me after the fact a printout of saying, here's some of the recommendations, here's other things, and this is what they do. And so I had that paperwork after the fact. So even somebody that studied it and still didn't comprehend it, I had all the paperwork and I continued to read it, and it really established that this is what they're recommending for me. This is what these things do. This is how they work. And here's some options. If you don't want to do this, you could do that. And so I thought that was beneficial, and great job on your part, John.
Thank you.
On having it so thorough that, you know, you got somebody there explaining it to you. And then if you still don't understand it, I'm a little slow, I'll admit that. I get to read about it a little bit later.
Definitely. I think that's important. You know, written oral information or phone conversations backed up by written information.
This is about you and me with our dyslexia. And this is for all you out there. We have a common trait, I guess you would say, or superpower.
Neurodiversity.
We both have dyslexia. And so one of the big things is that we talked about getting the book on audio, but then still getting the book on paper and going back over it and over it again. So just, again, for anybody out there that if this confused you, don't feel bad. We're going to keep going over this stuff as much as we need to go over this so you guys can understand it and feel comfortable about it, and make sure that you're living your optimal life.
I think a great way is if you can start a newsletter. For me, I think if you can start a newsletter and you can kind of then
look at Wally giving. I love this. Business ideas.
I've got a newsletter that goes out every week. That
fantastic.
Yeah, so it basically highlights. The first thing you'll see is it highlights. We always do a therapy of the week. So that could be a peptide, that could be a weight loss therapy, blood work, whatever it is. And then we offer a discount on that therapy every week. So it'll change every week, and that's what it is. And then after that, it has information about our other therapies, our events are going on, some of the different things. So honestly, our newsletter is awesome. It's kicking ass.
Fantastic.
50,000.
How do people join that newsletter?
So they can do it from our link tree. So if they go to our social media accounts, they can go right there, click on the newsletter, they sign up right there. They can text the number 22828 to Titan Medical, and then it'll automatically enlist them on the newsletter too as well. So the newsletters, that was the biggest thing. And we created like 3 years ago, and every week it's awesome, right? We post out a therapy in the week in there. Patients didn't even know we had some of these therapies. I'm like, man, I didn't even know we had this. And I want to take advantage of it. So
I
yeah,
love that.
Awesome.
I'm signing myself up and Mona
Sure.
up today to
Sure.
receive those and make sure that we're on there.
yeah.
We have a couple questions. Are you okay hanging out for another 5 minutes?
I got all the time in the world for you guys.
Okay. Thank you, man. I really do. And Wally, if you have any questions right now,
I got one
about-
question.
Go for it.
So I've got like a meniscus damage in my left knee, which
Wow.
which has been something that's been bugging me
Yep.
for a very long time. I've managed to kind of work around it.
Yep.
You know, I still feel it, you know, but when I squat, I have to wear knee sleeves just to get that patella tracking quite well.
Yep.
I felt it quite a lot, specifically today, more than ever before. Obviously, you know, my body's still a little bit, I won't say I'm depleted, but my body's recovering, bouncing
You're in
back.
shock.
Yeah, my
You're-
body's still in shock from the prep.
Mhm.
You know, I still got, I mean, if Mike was to tell you that, I'm like, you know, obviously I dropped that 20 pound in 8 days, and now my body's just shocked and it's like, everything.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, my ankles are a little bit swollen.
So this would be a good point for the peptides, the BP and the TB. Those two peptides would really help somebody like Wally with it.
Definitely.
First of all,
Meniscus.
I got to say props to you for you. Just were on stage Saturday.
Mm,
It is Tuesday, and you did legs with me.
mm.
You're a psycho.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, not every day you get to travel around the world. Like, you know, a guy that came to train with us this morning was moaning about traveling from Orange County. I was like, bro, I've traveled all the way from London. And he was like talking about LA traffic. I was like, and he goes, I go, next time you think about LA traffic, think about 11-hour flight. Even if you're sitting in business, it still hurts, you know, and how that's impacting your body. But my question to you is, before I forget, is if someone who's like myself, suffering from any form of like shoulder impingement, shoulder injury, I mean, touch wood, I don't have shoulder injury. My upper body is completely fine. My hips are fine. My right knee's fine. The only thing that's given me a little bit of jib at the moment is my left knee. I know that I've got, from MRI scan that I've done, I've got meniscus damage in that knee. What peptides would you recommend to inject directly into that area that's affected?
Sure. So this would be a combination of a couple different ones. I would do BPC 157 and TB 500. For
Write it down, Mike.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah,
I already
so-
got those two for you.
basically those two are going to create angiogenesis, and that's creating new blood vessels to bring blood to the damaged area so it can heal properly. When you have inflammation, you have a lot of water retention around the area, blood flow is lessened to go there. So that's why usually people like put ice packs on, bring the inflammation down, blood flow goes there, starts helping to heal the area. So that's what's going to help heal the area, hopefully. The other thing I would match up with it, if you're really, really like, hey, listen, I want to get this thing healed, would be like IGF-1 or CJC 1295 without purellin. Because when you raise those IGF-1 levels, your body's going to repair itself a lot better and a lot easier.
And with IGF-1, would you say it's like simultaneously injection to your stomach, or would it be
Yes.
directly to the muscle?
No, I would do the subcutaneous into the stomach.
And BPS-1, would you say is the
BPC
spot?
157, I would spot inject it closest to the injured area. I would like, so if somebody says, oh man, it hurts right here, muscle right here. I wouldn't inject it directly into the muscle. You don't want to inject subcutaneously closest to the area. So even for wound healing, you know, people inject it closest to the area, not directly in the wound.
Yeah, so you want to, obviously the area that's affected when you think about meniscus damage is that is the area between the bone.
Yep.
So what you don't want is you don't want to obviously hit the bone when you're injecting it.
Definitely.
You want to kind of inject into the muscle fiber closest to the area that's affected.
Subcutaneous, so right above it, you can do it.
Right above
Subcutaneous,
it.
yeah, it's literally going in at a 45-degree angle instead of 90-degree angle with a syringe.
Yeah.
So it's going to go like basically right underneath the skin. It'll create like a little circle bubble, and then it'll dissolve in and get, you know, stimulate with the body. So that one's more site specific BPC. TB 500 is more systemic, where it can go throughout and travel throughout the body. I would still inject that with the exact same syringe and the exact same area, so they're right at the right point and they're closer to the area as possible.
And like in doing both of those treatments, how long do you reckon? it'll
Sure.
take?
So usually I say between 10 to 12 weeks.
Okay, so 10 to 12 weeks, not Amazon Prime. So I'm going to turn up the next day. My knees are not going to get better. So all of a sudden,
Yeah, don't
So
message
the-
him going, hey, it's been 2 weeks, man.
Yeah.
Why am I?
Why my knees not feeling better?
You know, the biggest thing that I can tell you from experience from me and from other patients is because I had slap tears in both shoulders, so I'm just working through it because I don't want to get surgery. I already got to get surgery for a hernia next week, so I'm not trying to be down any more than I have to be. But when I take it, I take BBC 157 T500, and I'll take it in my shoulders in the morning because in the morning it hurts me the most. I usually wake up and I'm a side sleeper, so I'm sleeping on my shoulders and tossing and turning all night long. But when I inject it, that usually takes away the inflammation right away, and I usually get some good feeling as far as right after the injection.
Yeah.
So whether it's inflammation going down, because it's great for taking away inflammation, but I definitely feel a better effect.
Questions?
Very good. Thank you very much for that. It's really good.
Of course. You know, it's funny when you're talking about the UK. My buddy lives over there. So when you were talking about the Five Guys hamburgers, you know, what they allow in their food over there is a hell of a lot different than we allow in our food over here, Mike. Like
Seriously.
you guys
Tell me.
You guys cannot have high fructose corn syrup in anything, and it's in everything that we have. There's certain things that are on your ban list as far as food sources that's in every the red dye that's in Gatorade and all that. It's not allowed in the UK.
No.
So
Wow.
their food everywhere in the world, pretty much, except for the US, we have the lowest standards as far as food sourcing, if you can believe that. To like UK and like all these places, they don't allow it. Even Mexico, they don't allow high fructose corn syrup. You're thinking Mexico, man, land of the free. There, you do whatever the hell.
Yeah, I
you
would think that's anything.
Yeah.
You know, so this is just something different. And, you know, one example I can give you for like Mexican Coke to regular Coke. In a Mexican Coke, it's cane sugar. In an American Coke, it's high fructose corn syrup. So when you look at some of these different things, you know, they're eating better over there. Even in their fast food environments, they're eating better than us, which is kind of crazy. And then the other thing you have to worry about over there in the UK is NHS, the National Health Service.
Yeah.
You think about the National Health Services, everybody gets health care, but you have to wait on that health care. You don't know how long. You don't know what kind of treatment you're going to get.
Yeah.
Most of the people over there are going to concierge medicine. They're paying out of pocket, even though they have a national health.
Yeah, I'm a firefighter, and I pay my national insurance where it kind of contributes towards your NHS and all of that. But people travel half of the free world to get into the UK. Why do you think?
National health, just like
exactly. We're literally like everything. We give them a house, we give them everything for free, basically.
Yep.
And you know, no disrespect to the National Health Service, it's absolutely diabolical. And I'm not going to get into politics, but the current government that we have promised us that we were given the European 34 or 300 plus million pounds a week into EU. That's one of the reasons we left the EU. And the money that we're going to save by going out of the EU, they're going to put into NHS. NHS hasn't seen a penny of that money. But more of the story is, I live in the UK and I still have private medical cover.
It's crazy.
It's mad. And I pay into the NHS.
Yeah, I'll say the other good thing about the from UK to US standpoint, as far as medication wise, is that in the UK, it doesn't matter where you get your medication from. You get your medication from France, Italy, whatever it is. You go into the pharmacy and you're grabbing, you're getting the vials or whatever you prescribed. Where here, it's got to be FDA approved. You ain't taking it unless you're terminal and you're doing an experimental medication.
Yeah.
Or drugs from Canada because they're cheaper or anywhere else. Which I think that's a benefit over there to a disbenefit to us over here. And then when I go over there, I'm going to bring the Titan therapies along with me too, because I can bring them inside the country. So
yeah, definitely.
Cool. It's really, really cool.
I love this. Hey, Johnny, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
Man, I really understood a lot more today. And I know it's been repetitive and over again, but I'm getting a full understanding of the why they do what they do and what to do and not to get too excited and get so many. Just stay slow, stay consistent like we always do. I am going to reach out though, because I think it'd be a great opportunity for you.
Yeah.
To get your blood work done while you're here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And we can get it back in time to where we could have a discussion about it.
Treatment.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
what's good. So I love it, man. I will talk to you after this, Johnny. Thank you so much.
It was good meeting you, man.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Take care. Peace out.
Brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Gotta eat.
What's up, guys? All right, so I understand it so much better today. I don't know what it was. I guess it was just me continuing to ask those questions and still kind of going over everything like that.
It's a huge field. It's a huge topic,
It's a huge topic.
right? It's gonna take. Yeah, it's a whole lot to cover.
Did that help you guys today? Because it just seemed to really help me understand it better. And then also kind of shined light on some of my questions on why certain things over other things. And I guess, you know, price is a big thing on why some people were doing that.
And also the advancement of the field, technology, the understanding is causing some of those things to just be outdated as the research improves.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys caught that. That made a lot of sense too. Like what Jeff says is like some of these things like the GHRP, the GHRP2, 6 and 2, both are kind of outdated because those are basically just the same as others, but the hunger factor, which you can get that with the CJC 1265. Interesting about the tesamorelin and impamorelin. Yeah, wow. Just the difference on that. You got another one here. How is this pronounced differently than those two?
Somatropin versus butamorelin.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, that's MK.
That's MK.
They all have fancy names,
Right.
So I just kept that one as fancy. But yeah,
MK 177
MK
14.
677.
677.
Yeah, right. Everything's in code.
And it's cool to find out about the IGF-1 LR3 is time compared to the IGF-1 is just a continuous shots through the days. Was that Stryker?
She didn't hear that.
No, I don't think she's asleep, Mike.
Okay, good. I saw some questions here, but some of those questions are real basic, like how do you get in shape? Just get on the Titan meal plan right now. Let's get into a lot of people are doing the Titan Challenge 4. I'm doing Power Bodybuilding, Pro Secrets. Any of those programs get you moving and grooving.
His name's John at Titan Medical.
Yeah, that is John at Titan Medical. Get the newsletter. We'll get going on that too. I wouldn't mind those updates. Fat loss, something we didn't talk about today, but the L-carnitine injectable is something that they really like. And I like L-carnitine so much. And I was doing tablets. And then Wally comes here and he's doing a liquid knife. And I just go, you know what? I missed the liquid. So I got back on L-carnitine liquid. But if there's a chance that I can do the L-carnitine injectable, I will definitely try that and let you guys know how that works.
What's your advice on bulking? I've been struggling a while to get my weight up. Sitting at 140.
Yeah. So this is a great question. If you're 140 pounds and you're struggling, that's going to be that hunger level, right? So you're going to go over the Titan meal plan, put in that, put down, answer all the questions that you do for that. And that's going to get you, give me 48 hours to get your nutrition plan back to you. But that's going to be the one thing that sets you up to do this. Now, here's the other note or the other possibility is you can continue to try to guess or just eat. But it takes a while to get quality muscle. And at 140 pounds, I would say, let's get moving right now, because that is on the small side. And so I imagine, yeah, you've been trying this for a while. Let's get you moving and grooving and get that weight up.
When's the best time to take L-carnitine? Going back to that.
Yeah,
Or is it, does it really matter?
I do L-carnitine. Wally, when do you do yours? I do mine before and after cardio.
Same.
Okay.
I do like they say you should take a maximum of like 2 tablespoons a day on the instructions that one I bought. So I take a tablespoon before I do cardio, and then I do a tablespoon after when I'm eating.
Okay, so a
So,
table before cardio and
L-carnitine
after.
works really well. Some L-carnitine will say take on an empty stomach. Some will say take with food. You know, whatever. Well, I just take it before and after.
Okay.
Exact same as you.
It's the same as me. Yeah, I do the same thing for the cardio. Take the L-carnitine. I do not know about the injectable, so you'd have to wait for them to give you the directions on that if you're going to do that.
Oh, I need some vegetables with that. I've got-
This is probably the most true statement on here.
Cool. I like that.
Here you go. Go for it.
53 years old. I broke my neck and upper back, cut my spinal cord, and partially paralyzed in my right leg. What's the 3 best supplements I should be taking? Don't have much funds.
Well, make sure that the nutrition is on point, and those are the best thing. And then at 53, you got your blood work done, and that I would talk to the doctor to make sure that your blood work is right, you're moving good, and you're still 53 and healthy with your levels there. Sorry to hear about what happened. Yeah, that happens. My go-to vitamins are, I love my pump, a little caffeine, both caffeine or stim-free before workout gets me motivated going, and then my glutamine and my branched chain amino acids. Give me more. Go for it.
Can you give me tips to reduce my chest fat? I have a problem with my chest fat.
That is interesting. That's just the one spot. Usually, it's pretty evenly throughout the body.
Like, you mean like if you're fat, you're fat?
Yeah, imagine if there's some chest fat, there's probably some belly fat,
Right.
and so. But yeah, my recommendation is training. Get that volume really well. I would do the power bodybuilding. That way, you're getting that chest in maybe 3 times a week. That's what I'm doing right now. And then make sure that nutrition is on point. That's going to help you tighten up. All right, I've got to also eat, and I'm going to go eat with this psycho behind me here. And I will see you guys next week.